Well, first of all, congratulations on the movie.
Thank you very
It's a
much.
lot of fun to watch. Now, as a romantic comedy, this is kind of way left of center, in terms of being a zombie romantic comedy. What was it about the movie or the script that appealed to you, Nick, first?
I think it was the fact that it was way left of centre, something so different that made me laugh and had great characters. And I never really knew what was going to be going on next. But then with Jonathan Levine directing, he's so talented and can tread a really fine line between making a film funny but not becoming a parody of itself and still having a lot of heart in it. So it was a lot of fun.
Teresa?
For me, it was a breath of fresh air. I'd never heard of a story like this before. When I heard the premise, I initially was like, what is this? And then I read the script and it was so strong and I cared about the characters, and Julie, my character in particular, I just love that she's such a brave, strong woman. She's independent, she's sassy, she's a warrior, but then she also is just looking for love and human connection, and that's really what the message of this story is, and I wanted to jump on board because of that.
Let's talk about the characters first. Let's talk about Julie first. As you mentioned, there's all these things that are kind of going on with her, yet she's attracted to a zombie, or she learns to be attracted to a zombie. So there's a, she's one of the few people, or in fact, really the only person in the movie that has a heart at the beginning of the film. Everybody's, very polar opposite.
Yeah, and that's honestly what I love about her so much. It's so refreshing, and she has a beautiful, bright light inside of her, and she looks at the world in a brighter shade than anyone else, and I just really respond to that. And I think it's that quality in her that really helps breathe life back into R, and that's what sets her apart, and one of the reasons why I wanted to play her.
You have that quality yourself.
Aww.
Let's talk about R, because your character, you have to transition from being, totally mute almost, to just with groans, to becoming a full-fledged human being again.
Yeah.
That must have been a lot of fun, just having to go through the whole transition.
Yeah, it was great, and when I read the script I thought this is going to be tricky to pull off, it's something very different, and trying to communicate without using many words and not being able to be that expressive. But luckily there's a great voiceover which kind of gives you an insight into R's thoughts and feelings, and it's very witty as well and funny. So there was a thing, I don't know, it was just this great endearing character where all he wanted was to try and express himself and connect, and then gradually heals, and it was fun to play.
Well, the whole idea of the story being told from the zombies' perspective.
Yeah, that's a new idea.
That's really that was new.
Yeah, there's a couple of new ideas in there. Obviously, there's that perspective taken on the story, but then there's the idea that when you eat someone's brains in this story, the reason why zombies want the brain so much is because they get to relive that person's thoughts and feelings. And quite early on in the story, I eat Teresa's character's boyfriend's brains and relive his memories. And
That helps him to fall in love with me initially.
Yeah.
Well, I had a chance to talk to Dave Franco a couple of weeks ago by phone, and
We
talked a
love
little bit
him.
about
What a
his
guy.
character. And the thing that was neat about his character is that he's not on screen a long time, but he's
so memorable, though,
but
isn't
he's got a very pivotal role.
Yeah,
And
he's someone that doesn't have hope anymore, and that's
The
kind of
light
the tragic
really
thing
has
about
been
him.
dimmed.
Because of the circumstances of this post-apocalyptic world, he's kind of
Hardened
given up on
and-
life and closed down, which is sad.
Now, now having to be a zombie,
Yeah.
and what kind of training do you do to be a zombie?
We had a Cirque du Soleil guy come in, and me and Rob Corddry and some of the stunties would be in a room, and he'd give us very descriptive language on how we'd move and feeling very heavy and stuff. And so we'd do that, and then we'd run around in the
Food
car
in the
park.
walls.
We'd pretend we could smell human flesh and be like, ah. And then there was us running around in the car park, and there's apparently a video of that, which Teresa's seen.
Saw that one.
Highly embarrassing. But then once you've got the physical stuff and the vocal stuff down, then it's just, it's about really believing it, oddly. And luckily, Jonathan Levine creates a very realistic environment in this film,
It's
and
really
made that
important.
very easy.
Now, the scene where you're with Rob at the bar, and it's the beginning of the groaning. How many times did you have to take that scene, and how often were you laughing? I mean, can you keep a straight face, especially working with Rob Corddry?
I think we got above 10 takes on that. There's definitely going to be some good outtakes from this film. And he's so funny. And I struggle with laughing anyway. And yeah, I broke a lot.
He did,
I broke a lot.
because he did this one really long groan.
Yeah,
It
there was one.
so long.
Because there was nothing, you know, it was all improvised groaning, and we'd sit there and go, and then Rob would crack out one that would get me every time. We just go, for so long, completely blank, and I'd be looking at him, and I'd be like, I can't. And then when you start to feel your cheeks go, and it's all like, I try and bite the inside of my mouth sometimes to stop myself.
Yeah, me too. Oh, golly.
Now, working with John Malkovich, how was that? I mean, he's one of the all-time greats in my eye, and probably in many people's eyes. How was it for him, with him?
Oh, well, I'm not sure how it was for him.
No, how was it with him?
He was thrilled to be working with us.
He loved it. He was honoured to be working with us. Look, I love John Malkovich. He's amazing. At first I was really nervous, and it was a very daunting thing to hear he was going to be playing my dad. And then when I met him, he was so sweet, and he was wearing this bright coloured shirt with like hundreds of umbrellas on it. And I just thought it was the most endearing thing. And he came in, he was soft-spoken and really polite, and he learnt everyone's name on set. And then he had this cracker sense of humour. He would watch YouTube videos and then impersonate them, and he was just so funny. And then, of course, to be acting opposite him was incredible. I would find myself like stepping out of the scene and realising, like, oh my gosh, I'm doing a scene with John Malkovich, this is amazing. But it really was like going to the best acting school.
Now, your relationship with him in the movie is, you know, kind of...
Strained.
Yeah, strained, but yet off the screen, your relationship, was it very method and you kind of kept your distance, or was it very
No.
father and daughter-like?
It was the opposite, and that's the thing, is that General Grigio, it all stems from a place of just loving his daughter so much, because he has lost his wife, and now Julie really is the only light in his life, and so he gets overly protective, and he really loves her. It's just his way of showing love as being quite distant. But John was really beautiful and heartfelt, and he would give me advice, and it really felt like a father-daughter relationship. I'd be doing a scene, and I remember one time I had a piece of hair stuck to my mouth, and I was doing the scene, and he came over and he just took the hair out of my mouth, and at one point I cried in the scene I wasn't supposed to, and he actually used his real hanky and he was wiping my tears, and I was like, oh, this is really nice. It feels like my real dad. Yeah.